The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's Friday. And your
Friday.
mic's not on. It's not pinned. There you go. It's falling all over the place here.
My mic is on.
Yeah, but now it's getting closer. I can hear you now. It's like, I don't know what the... God.
It's on. I don't want to hear it. It's on.
Yeah, now it is. Before it was like a whisper. And we don't want to hear whispers. We want to hear loud...
Well, it's funny you should mention that because an open meeting law complaint was filed by someone, not by me, that the city council violated the open meeting law yesterday because they were having conversations between each other that could not be audible to the general public, which is a violation of the open meeting law. Therefore,
it's an open meeting violation.
It's an open meeting law violation.
Yes. Well, and speaking of the council,
the council, well, before you go anywhere, we have special messages from two city councilors when they were running for office. And I'll tell you now, they scare me because this is their promise to you, the general public.
Should not go pay to throw your trash. Just keep that in mind. If that comes in front of me, there's no way that I'm going to support that particular item.
When I am elected, I am going to work hard with my 8 colleagues on the City Council, as well as the mayor, whoever it may be, in order to end this purple bag program.
And guess how they both voted? They voted to pay for getting rid of your trash, and they voted to keep the purple bag program. These are your political lies that you've been told people. You were bought for a chow mein sandwich with Leo.
Everything is flexible in politics. You know that. How can you tell a politician's lying?
His lips are moving.
It's like, okay, we know the lies. We heard the lies yesterday. There again, more pay raises, and this is not a
and more stipends.
And they're complaining about the $7,000 when they gave Mary Sahadi a $40,000 pay raise. But then again, we hear that Cathy Ann, so we're going to get that testimony. She testified before the JLMC in the arbitration with the police that the city could not afford to settle that contract because they have, I believe, and I'm not saying this is 100% accurate because I don't have it in front of me, but from my recollection, from what I was told, she said that we have 507 million, not 507,000, 507 million in debt, plus a $385 million
unfunded liability.
Unfunded liability in retirement system. Of course, she didn't add to the JLMC that was caused by the city not putting in enough money and skimming that most of that money to use for pay raises and other political garbage.
That they're still trying to do.
The fact is, but as you know, as I said before, my friend came up with that great saying, and I keep saying it: when we lie to the government, it's a felony. When they lie to us, it's politics. So I don't know what happened yesterday, but Cathy Ann should have been asked a very simple question. She continues to say we got $10 million in surplus, and this city's in great financial shape yet, but they can't afford stamps. So the question should have been asked again. Ms. Viveris, did you lie to the JLMC about the financial condition of the city?
Perjury.
Or are you lying to the taxpayers and the city council about the financial condition of the city?
Politics.
Because guess what? There's always enough money for a pay raise.
For Cathy Ann.
There's always enough money to increase the budgets in the various departments. There's always enough money to do that. But then when it comes time to give a pay raise to a rank and file, it's like, oh me, oh my, we don't have the money, we're in so much debt, the city's in financial trouble. Well, which is it? And I'm going to tell you something. It's not even legal. She was there as a city administrator for the city of Fall River to give an accurate representation to the JLMC of the financial condition of the city. She had a legal obligation to tell the truth in that arbitration because that is a legal proceeding in accordance with 150E, the collective bargaining law. She's fundamentally, legally bound to tell the truth. But that's like, I mean, that's an absurdity. Obviously I'm being facetious because they never tell the truth. They've always got money. They talk, you know, duplicity is their great characteristic. They complain about the unfunded liability that they caused. They complain about the unfunded liability, and they add to it by changing the groups for employees, sticking themselves in. They're always complaining about the unfunded liability in the pension system, but she's taking a check, isn't she? She's taken a survivor benefit, and she's going to take her pension for only working 6 or 7 or 8 years instead of 38 or 40 years like most of the city employees that are going to be getting a very small pension, like the 60% of the people who are in the system now that make less than $25,000 a year, while she gets more than that as a pay raise. So she's going to retire with a 6-figure pension. But then she won't be a liability. Now when they call retirees debits and liabilities, they will have to add a postscript. They will have to say, the retirees are nothing more than debits and liabilities, except for Mary Sahadi and Cathy Ann, because they're the greatest 2 financial wizards that ever existed. And the reality is they're both working exactly where they are for one thing, the pension and the money they're making right now. And they're working short term for a pension that will exceed virtually any city employee that put in 30, 40, or even 50 years. And does that disturb me? Yes. Does that make me angry? Yes. And if I could change the system, believe me, I would. And you can't, because who maintains the system? The politicians. They're going to go and complain about the unfunded liability without telling the people that they caused it. They're going to complain about all these things which they caused. They're going to go to the JLMC and complain that they don't have any money. But then they're not going to tell everybody we don't have any money because they keep spending money we don't have. And then you wonder why. And then the councils that, look, this is a lot of rhetoric. Yeah, they did a good job. They really skewered them. But what's going to happen? I don't know. Let's hope I'm wrong. Let's hope that for once they actually take action rather than just flapping their gums about it and then giving the city everything they want. Terry Sullivan got everything he wants. What was his words? I'm comfortable with what I got. Yeah, I would be too, Terry, if I had 400 grand left over that I could use and then complain about it. You had enough left over in your slush fund to pick up a $400,000 tab because you had extra cash, and you shouldn't have extra cash. I thought were we supposed to have a zero-based budget?
That's what I said to Councilor Brad Kilby.
What?
I said, zero-based budgeting means we don't have all of this free cash. And you know what he said? Having free cash is a good thing. Yeah, no, it's not.
No, it's not. It's overtaxation. And not only that, departments should not have slush funds. That you're not supposed to have free cash in every department, because in any department, because this city is supposed to be, when you submit a budget, it's supposed to be a budget.
But here's the problem we have.
And as I said, Newton, Everybody go online, go to the Newton budget. Open the budget, get it online, open it up, and you look at every department, and every department begins, their budget begins with a synopsis. It tells you everything that they had predicted they were going to do in the last fiscal year, everything that got done, and everything that did not get done, and why it didn't get done. And then it has what they're going to do this year and a justification for every single penny they have. They don't say, well, I need $6 million to run it and pay all my bills and all my projections with a little fudge factor. And of course, you're going to have a little extra. You got to, you got to figure, you've got to have a little. But say, well, it's going to cost me $6 million to run this department, so I get 8 or 10, so I can have $2 or $3 million in it, in the back room, and then I can spend it. And then complain because I had to dip into it. Well, guess what? That's not your money, Terry. It's our money. It's over taxation. When you got $10 million, you're saying you got $10 million in surplus, it means you took $10 million more than you had to away from the taxpayers. That doesn't, if that doesn't make you angry, I don't know what will. And then you look at these meetings, and all I ever talk about is money. And then you got Macy talking about, oh, God, I try to do the work right within the time I have, which, number one, is restricted by law, and he's over it already. Macy said, some weeks that may mean 40 hours, which, by the way, he's prohibited to work. And I hope somebody sends this to the State Retirement Board, this quote from him, because he's violating the law. Our corporation council is in violation of a state law.
Like that would be the first time.
And he said it. He's working 40 hours a week. And he'll say, oh, that means cumulative hours. Well, you work virtually 48 weeks a year, so you were well in violation. But will they do anything to a judge? No, why? Because they're in that special category, political hack or politician / or both. So the rules do not apply to them. Try that if you're a cop. Try that if you're a firefighter or a DPW worker. Try to game the system. Try to ignore the law. Try to not abide by the rules that you're in your collective bargaining agreement. And unless you're politically connected, see how quickly that your butt hits the concrete. So, there is a tale of two cities, there's a tale of two nations all the time. And is it frustrating? Yes. And the greatest frustration is that it's our fault. It's our fault. We keep electing them. Not me, personally, because I don't vote for any of these, virtually any of these people. I mean, I'm not going to vote for somebody who does nothing but spend money and give pay raises out, and who can stand in front of the council and say extra money is fine and taxation is something you have to expect. No, it isn't. As I said, let's go back a decade or two where they used to use terms like tightening your belt, bare bones budget, do more with less to save the taxpayer and put more money in you, the worker's pocket. But no, let's tax people in a community that has a $22,000 average per capita income. Didn't I hear that the police need radios and the fire department needs radio? But we give Cathy Ann a $40,000 raise. But our public safety doesn't have fundamental equipment. They're going to run around now looking for money. Why wasn't that the first thing they spent the money on? Before Cathy Ann got a pay raise, before Mary Sahadi got a pay raise, before all his cronies got jobs, before he walked down the Champs-Élysées in Paris,
$18,000 he spent on trips.
Before all this was spent, why didn't our police officers who work in the most dangerous city in the state of Massachusetts have radios? You think there's something wrong, people? Get out and vote. You know, this is ridiculous.
But
I mean, you listen to this, and it's almost an aside. Oh, by the way, the police need radios.
That's exactly what it was done like. And that's the way Pamela Little Taylor Bowe did it. Oh, and by the way, the police need radios. I understand they're on duty and they need radios. But what did you do to make the radios happen?
Yeah. Oh, that's not a priority.
No.
We're getting shootouts every day.
No, having everybody get extra stipends is all the stipends they're giving away could buy radios.
Yeah, but
all those stipends could buy radios.
By the way, they need radios. They should play them the tape of the New Jersey fire when 3 firefighters died because the communications broke down. Communications is a necessary aspect at a fire, at an emergency, even with DCM. They need radio communication. If they're in a hole doing something and something collapses in an emergency, you need radio communications. But, you know, heaven forbid that we actually prioritize services and especially essential services. By the way, just an aside. Oh, by the way, the police need radios. They got cans with strings on them right now. Don't worry about it. It's only the police department, and it's only a police department in the most dangerous city in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the second most dangerous in New England. But what the hell? They need radios. Oh, we'll get to that after we give Cathy Ann another pay raise. We give Mary Sahadi another stipend. Hire 4 more people from
Monica Souza another stipend.
Yeah. Hire 4 more people from the campaign committee. And give everybody in the world a pay raise, and then go to the JLMC and say the cops can't get a pay raise because we don't have any money or radios. So, you know.
Hey, you know, I remember, and I hate bringing up this thing, and I'm not trying to compare us to this tragedy, but I remember 9/11. What was the one major problem they had during that entire catastrophe? Communication.
Yeah.
They had no communications between the firefighters, the police department, and the EMS personnel. And there was no direct communication from firefighter to firefighter, from police officer to police officer. There was nothing but problems with their communication system, and they knew they needed an entire new communication system, and they didn't do anything about it until a catastrophe like that happens. What are you waiting for, Pam? What the hell are you waiting for? You waiting for a catastrophe like that? Yeah, you, with the fuzzy hair. You.
Well, you know, and the irony is there is a national standard for training for coordination between all these agencies, and it's a required. You got to take it. You take it every year, and that's a great point, CJ. You just made a tremendous point, because all the training in the world doesn't make any difference if you don't invest in it. You don't have the ability to communicate. You go take a course on incident command. And the incident command system is how you coordinate in these major and granted, 9/11 was the most horrific tragedy in the history of this nation.
And as I said, I'm not comparing this to that.
And it was even under the best of circumstances, it was a nightmare. You know, 353 firefighters died, the greatest toll in history for firefighters. You know, in 9/11. And the reality is, in police officers and EMS people. You know, but the firefighters sustained the highest loss, 353 of them in public safety. But, you know, there's an incident command system that's created to coordinate, you know, incidents. That's what it's for. You take this. But the fact is, if you don't have the coordination and you don't really utilize it, and, you know, then when something like this happens, it's like, now, what good's the incident command system if you don't have communications? Can the police, whoever the incident commander is, which is most of the time the fire department, but the fact is that, but can you communicate without radios? No. What are they going to do? Send smoke signals? And I mean, that's the insanity of this thing. I spent most of my adult life in public safety. And I fought some pretty big fires. Notre Dame, one of the last, if not the last, conflagration in North America, and all the mill fires. The fact is, you need communications. You're coordinating a tremendous amount of people. At Notre Dame, we had people from as far away as Boston that came to that fire. We had people from Rhode Island. We had fire departments from Rhode Island who we had to give special connections too, because they couldn't connect to our hydrants. They use a different thread. So we had to make sure that we had to coordinate that aspect, which is something you almost virtually never run into. But that's what happens in emergency incidents. The fact is you need, because even with the best planning, something always is going to crop up that you can't prepare for. You have to prepare for the worst. And even then, there's going to be some issues. And you got to try to minimize it. You can't totally eliminate it. But I'll tell you what, something as fundamental as radios, and to turn around and say it like it's an aside it's an insult to the taxpayers. To minimize its importance behind pay raises for political hacks, it's just, it's reprehensible. It's just when I see stuff like this, that's why I can't watch it. That's why I can't go down there. You know, because I'd probably, like, stick a giant knitting needle in my eyeball from listening to them, because they, you know, it drives me, you know, just listening to this stuff. It just, you know, and then listening to the lies, because you know they're lies about, you know, that's Cathy Ann, the time she said, oh, well, the healthcare holidays were because the employees had too much money in their trust fund, which was an absolute lie. It was the city mishandled employee money and they had to pay it back. The city gave us those holidays. They paid for it. And I went before the council and said that, and she didn't say a word because it was the truth. I spoke the truth. She lies. And what are the consequences for lying? Pay raise. That's the Peter principle at its greatest. So if this stuff doesn't make you crazy, pay attention to what's going on. Everybody's talking about how they skewed them. Let's see what happens. All I see out of this is everybody got all the money they wanted in these departments. Terry Sullivan got all the money he wanted. And as Mark Monroe Dion said, our water fees have doubled or tripled in the past decade. And what do we get for it? We can't even get radios for our police officers. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. By the way, they need radios. Unbelievable.
Well, that's always something. It's always something. You know that.
Yeah, well, but it's always the same.
Because we can't afford to pay the police department, so how can we afford to get radios?
Yeah, well, you know, but that's the thing. And that's what people don't understand. Look, you know the old saying, the only thing that changes is the name.
That's
you need
it.
a scorecard to get the names, but it's the same old, same old. You know, it may be about radios, purple bags, but it's the same old, same old. It's all about them taking as much money out of your pocket as they can, giving it to their friends, misspending it, and allowing essential services to erode all the time. It's just, you know, there's a different set of labels on what's happening at a city council meeting. But what normally happens at the city council? A lot of gum flapping, a lot of outrage, but then they give them virtually everything they want. There's a big complaint about this. They'll get it eventually. Or as Terry Sullivan so aptly put it that day that I was sitting behind him and heard him, and he told Kenny, don't worry about it. He said, just keep your head down, keep your mouth shut.
And they'll forget it.
They'll forget about it. And he said, nothing's going to happen.
That's
and
right.
Guess what?
Well, you know, and one of the issues that came up last night at the city council was, you know, can the mayor accept the gifts that he received? He received his airfare and his hotel stay as a gift from the company that's trying to recruit them for business, which was well over $1,000.
Yep.
Just the airfare alone was $890, I believe it was. So state law restricts him to $50.
Yep.
So could he do this?
The ethics, it's an ethics violation.
Yes, but guess what? Ethics never issues a decision against any politician.
Hopefully somebody will file a complaint against them, because it's, you know, you have to actually answer a questionnaire at least I do. Have you received any gifts in excess of $50?
Right.
You know, I get one from the state every year that asks me about have I received gifts, not even just money, but any kind of gift that exceeds, you know, the amounts. So and you have to answer those things, and you're answering those things under pains and penalties of perjury. You know, you got to sign an
This is the city of Fall River. This is the city of Fall River. Perjury? Come on.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we got our corporation counsel admitting he worked. You know, it may mean 40-hour work week, which he's prohibited to work on an average. He's got to work a 20-hour week, basically.
Yep.
Or stop working. That's what the law says, by the way. When you hit the max of hours,
stop working.
You're supposed to stop working. He's supposed to leave.
That's it.
That's it for the year.
But he doesn't.
But he doesn't.
Nope. Well, you know, another change in Fall River. The Fall River name has gone away. It's now the Bristol County Economic Development Consultants. They're still a nonprofit, but they're a fee-for-service company now.
Yes. Well, a rose by any other name
still smells like crap.
And a cesspool by any other name is still a cesspool.
And it still smells like crap, no matter which way you look at it.
And so they changed their name because then again, look, I would too if I had Fall River in my title after all the dubious distinctions, you know, because they could change their name to most violent city in the Commonwealth Office of Economic Disaster. That would, you know, so they could name that and it would be an accurate representation. But now they can, you know, they can use Bristol counties. So now they're encompassing all these nice, quiet,
share the wealth,
nondescript suburbs.
Share the wealth, baby. So, share the wealth. Yeah, okay. If it stinks in one part of Bristol County, it stinks in all of Bristol County.
I think that does have a ring to it, doesn't it?
What?
The most violent city in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Office of Economic Destruction.
Disaster. Yeah.
That does have it does have a little ring.
Has a little lilt to it. Yes, definitely, definitely. Hey, somebody wants to buy Riverview Towers.
Yeah, and he wants to live in it, yeah.
And he wants to live in it.
Yeah, I'll believe that one when I see it.
He's from Leominster.
Yeah, from Leominster, yeah, which is a nice, rich, in case you guys don't know where Leominster is, it's right around, it's right on the outskirts of Worcester. It's a nice, really rich, affluent, highly Republican, affluent community. Leominster's a... You know, it's up around Worcester. So, you know, if this guy is moving from Leominster to Fall River to live in a high-rise in Fall River, I think he may need some psychiatric attention.
Maybe he has a substance abuse problem. That's why it's coming to Fall River. You know, we handle everything. We handle psych issues. We handle substance abuse issues. Anything's possible. Come to Fall River, where we'll fix all that ails you.
But remember,
and we'll give you welfare.
If you want free trips and gifts, live large. Our mayor is living large, and you know, it's a great indication. It shows he's a good learner. He called the former drug czar, who was living large, his mentor. So I guess he really learned from his mentor, because he's doing pretty well. You know, I mean, you know, people were complaining when the reps and everybody they were going over to the Azores every other week. And that's the Azores. But to go to Paris, the city of lights, whew, wow. That, you know, yeah, you got to kind of give them a grudging pat on the back. Man, that is the biggest screwing of the taxpayers I've ever seen. You know, and then going to Harvard for his degree. You know, I'll tell you what. $16,000 they charged you for that course. I'll print out a certificate on my printer. I'll give it to you for $1,600.
I'll give it to you for $16. How's that?
There you go. Underbid already. It didn't take me long to get underbid.
Only in Fall River.
Yeah. Well, I guess the news was headlined today that the person who killed that motorcyclist
is being arraigned.
Is being charged. He's driving without a license, and what are you going to do?
It's Fall River. Come on, it's Fall River. What do we need licenses for?
Well, have a good weekend. We'll see you next week. Happy Father's Day to all you fathers.
And we'll see you on Monday, everyone.
And we'll see you
Stay angry and remember the liars. Always remember those liars.
And remember, when in doubt, ask for a stipend.